Hi, welcome to the webinar titled GIS Solutions for Municipalities. My name is Jody Goslin and I'm the GIS manager at Dawood Engineering. Today is GIS Day. The week is Geography Awareness Week, and each Wednesday of that week is a day devoted solely to GIS and GIS education and awareness. So this is the 17th annual GIS Day. As you can see on the slide, there are GIS events all around the world, and this is one of our contributions to GIS Day is just educating more on what GIS can do for communities, municipalities, counties, and everyone. So I hope that you find this presentation valuable. I'd like to start with a brief introduction as to what GIS is. GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. I have a few different definitions here that I won't read through all, but basically GIS software is designed to capture, manage, analyze, and display all forms of geographic information. I like this graphic to the right. I think it illustrates what a GIS can do pretty well. What it's doing is taking multiple data layers, parcels, zoning, topography, and so on, and overlaying them to combine into one base map. So by overlaying, you're able to view patterns within the data. And the real power of GIS lies within the data behind it that you don't see. So there's essentially a table or a database behind each of these data layers that has information that really makes GIS a powerful analytical tool. So for example, if you click on the parcel layer, you'll be able to find information about the attribute information of the owner's name or their parcel ID or the acreage of their land. Same with wetlands or land cover, any type of information specific to that feature, you'll be able to view that in the table behind it. And that's really where the power of GIS comes from. This example is one of my favorites. It really shows how powerful GIS can be and emphasizes the point that geographic information is everywhere. Excuse me, almost everything has a geographic component to it, and how this map was created was from Facebook. With each Facebook profile and someone clicking the like button on a sports team, someone was able to extract that information and create this visual. So what this map is showing is on a county by county basis, which sports team was liked by the majority of the population within that county. And then illustrating it on a map and color coding it by sports team, you're able to see patterns in the data. So you can see in New England, the Patriots are very well represented with all the New England states. In Colorado, the Broncos are definitely represented in that part of the country. The Steelers are dominating most of Pennsylvania and West Virginia. So the big point here is that geographic information is everywhere, and having that type of information can really help to visualize patterns and trends within the data. Another example that's probably fresh in everyone's mind, and I don't know if you realized it, but if you watched the election last week and watched maybe CNN or other news channels, how they were interacting with the polls as the results were coming in, that was a GIS system. So, and that's really the power of that is all the numbers and the tabular data coming in behind the scenes, allowing them to color code their maps and zoom in on a county level to see where the votes were. That's one of my favorite examples of real-time GIS, and I love how nationwide it becomes spread. What this example here is showing is the 2008 election, and it's not only color coding like the previous example, but it's also extruding each county based on the number of votes, so you can compare the population this way as well. So the topic of the day, though, is what can GIS do for communities? And there is an urban development vision of having every community become a smart community. And what that means is having hubs of information connect people with information and tools to make better decisions, manage a community's assets, and improve quality of life. With GIS, communities are able to ask questions. So the town people that work for the town are able to ask questions, and so are the residents or people that are interested in possibly moving or doing business in the town. So some examples of questions are, what are the properties where the assessed value has increased? Where have they decreased? What properties above a certain elevation will be affected by shutting down this water tower for maintenance? Is there a spatial pattern in the recent outburst or outbreak of house burglaries? Mass GIS has published these quantifiable benefits from the municipalities in Massachusetts that I think really illustrate how much more efficient the towns and communities are becoming by adopting GIS practices. So something as simple as mailing labels for abutter notifications, by using a GIS and asking that spatial question of, who are my abutters for this property that's under development, and then producing mailing labels has produced at least 500 hours of staff time annually for one community. Walk-in visits to the assessor's office has dropped significantly because of having the information available online. And there's other examples there as well. So it really is a benefit in the movement of becoming a smart community. Other ways that GIS is being used by communities are just maintenance for the tax maps. Like I said, producing mailing labels, creating theme maps. Public works is a huge part of how communities are using GIS and managing their assets. And just public information, doing different analysis and providing information is really the value of becoming a smart community. So like I had said with public works, using GIS for an asset management of utilities is extremely valuable. Transferring the paper plans to digital files that can then be interactive and queried again. So if you want to quantify how much lead pipe or plastic pipe or where are the fittings that were installed in a certain year, you can do that and ask those questions if your data is managed in a GIS. It can serve as an asset monitoring system and just really maximizing your operational efficiency because you know where things are, you know their conditions, you know their surroundings, and you're able to take that information and then communicate it with the public. You can communicate road closures due to a gas valve shut down. You can map the inventory of signs and signals or manage snow operations. I'd like to share a few examples of how other communities are using GIS. This is just a screenshot of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. They have an online GIS that's available to their citizens where they can go, and if you Google them now, you could go to this as well, and see different interactive maps. So one of where to vote, one showing the display of preserved farmlands in the county, historical sites, all sorts of things that they're making available on their website, which leads me to believe that they also have a pretty sophisticated internal GIS as well. Brooklyn Park, Minnesota has a program where they allow citizens to adopt a fire hydrant using interactive GIS. And this engages the citizens, but it also helps the community to have assistance when there's a major snowstorm, having whoever's adopted that fire hydrant become responsible for shoveling it out and making sure that it's accessible in the event of an emergency. Baltimore City is managing their data in a GIS, and this is a quick map that I'm sure that they created showing by neighborhood the non-emergency 311 calls, and you can see by the way they're extruding each neighborhood where the highest concentration of that occurs. Brooklyn Park also shares information on road construction with their citizens via GIS. So not only current road construction, but upcoming as well. And some schools are even using GIS to map how their facilities have evolved over time and mapping emergency evacuations and mapping the assets within their own buildings in a GIS. At Dawood, we use GIS not only with our clients, but internally for our day-to-day operations. We have survey field crews and various offices. And in order to determine which field crew should support a certain project, we use GIS to assess travel times and compare where we should dispatch a survey crew from. So every community can be a smart community, and hopefully this presentation is helping you to understand where your community lies within the spectrum and where you'd like to go. A few things I would suggest considering is, how easily can you share data and information within your community, within other communities, with local officials? Do you have certain key people that know everything about a certain topic and without them you'd be lost? That's something that you might want to consider as they move on. How are you going to maintain and capture that information? So do you and your staff make data-driven decisions? Are you empowering your staff with tools? There are mobile tools that maintenance crews can use that would link to the same information that you would be looking at in the office. And just how involved and engaged is your community? There are a few ways that at Dawood we are working with different entities to use GIS for similar asset management systems. This example is showing an asset management system we're working on with PennDOT for their light poles. And prior to this project, they had done a statewide inventory of all of their lighting assets that resulted in a master Excel spreadsheet. What we did was took it one step further and made it more usable for them by displaying their values in an Excel spreadsheet onto a map using their X and Y data. And since then, we've created a web-based interactive map that allows them to interact with their data. And it allows them to do things that the spreadsheet didn't allow them to do. And the visual component is really important here. So this bottom screenshot is showing each of their light poles in this intersection, and then these lines are all pointing to their power source. The power source was just a field in the Excel spreadsheet, and when we created this relationship on a map, we were able to QA/QC their data and see where their power sources were inaccurate within the Excel database. And without that visual, they wouldn't have easily picked that up, otherwise. This information is available through the web, through a secure website, but it's also available on smart devices with GPS capabilities. So maintenance crews can view this while they're in the field, and if they have to do maintenance on a certain light pole, they're able to identify the power supply right then and there. We also do a lot of utility conversion. So in this example, we, for the city of Philadelphia, had to work at this intersection and created a one-call notification through PA one-call and received plans from all the different utilities: water, sewer, gas, cable, telephone, and rails. And we took those plans, we georeferenced and digitized them, and created the base mapping for it. And in addition to just creating the line work, we're making it smart by capturing attribute data, which allows us to then query it and be more efficient in AutoCAD. This information can also be hosted and shared as well with other entities. We also assist communities in the MS4 program. GIS is a great way to help manage stormwater assets, monitor outfalls, and the same mobile GIS and GPS solutions that I talked about with the lighting assets can also be applied to this. So these screenshots are showing different ways of managing the outfalls and the inspections. The top one's showing an inspection status, kind of like a stoplight, green, yellow, red theme. So anything that's green has already been inspected, no need to worry. But if an inspection's coming up, it will appear yellow and then red, alerting them visually that action needs to happen. And part of the MS4 program also is public involvement and education, which you can do, having this data in-house, but then also hosting it to the web to really engage your citizens. So 3 things that I would suggest to get started making your community a smart community is just assess the current available technology and determine an appropriate system for developing and storing a GIS database. And it doesn't necessarily even need to be GIS. Just start gathering the information in CAD or another software. Check the availability of public data sets from state, county, or local government and grab what you can. Start with PASDA. There are boundaries, streams, wetlands, land use, zoning, census information, all out there for free that could really help you to get a better picture of characteristics of your community. And then identify current sources of data and determine ways to convert this to a GIS database. You may have hard copy maps of facilities and utility assets that can be scanned and digitized. And again, that one guy who knows it all and is ready to retire, see how you can get that institutional knowledge so that it's not lost when that person moves on. Thank you very much for viewing the webinar today. I hope that this was valuable to you. If you have any questions, my contact information is on the slide, and I'd be happy to discuss what GIS can do for you. All right, thank you. Have a great day.